Hello, Annie. My bride loves when you make those fabulous headpieces. She has a special request. She would like for you to create a small but elegant and understated fascinator for her flower girl. She would also like 2 hairpins or barrettes for her bridesmaids, but the biggest request comes for herself. She would like you to create her bridal veil. The basic design of this wedding is translated to you in these images. This will steer you in the direction the bride desires while letting you unleash your own creativity. We are very excited to see your final designs.
Thank you, Dawn. I'm so excited to get started with my first bridal client. I think a fascinator for a flower girl is an excellent idea, and taking guidance from what you created for the floral arrangement for the flower girl, I am also going to use these hydrangeas. However, what I did was I took them off of their plastic stems and I'm going to replace them with wire and crystal. The crystals that you see here are Austrian crystals. They have a little bit of aurora borealis glow to them, and they come from a vintage antique crystal bracelet. So I thought this would be a nice way to include a little vintage touch and sparkle to the fascinator for the little girl. As you can see there, I have all of my florals ready to go, and I have a little headband that's nice and thin and comfortable. It's already covered in satin, so it saves a lot of time. Now I'm going to use this beautiful thin lace that is going to be on the top of that headband. You'll see later on that if you want to, you can always remove the flowers because I'm going to attach them with wire and just leave the pretty little headband with the satin and this beautiful crocheted lace. I absolutely fell in love with the lace selections that the bride chose for her party, for herself, for everything. I am trying to incorporate all of those items as well to make a nice cohesive look for the bridal party as well as the bride. I'm going to reassemble these beautiful hydrangea blossoms just as you would see them naturally. Now, I don't want this to be a very big or very extravagant floral arrangement or fascinator because, again, it is for a little girl. I'm not exactly sure how old she is, but regardless of age, it'll look appropriate and it will be charming. I think it's most important that it is charming. So what I am doing here is I'm wiring all of those blossoms to one central wire, and then I can shape it in any way I want. Now, at one point I did think it was going to be linear in this way, but then eventually I thought it would be nicer to make it round so it matches with the floral arrangement that she's holding. Now, here's an additional lacy trim. Look at how beautiful this trim is. It's absolutely gorgeous. And same thing here, I'm going to wire the trim to make it easier for me to shape it in any way that I want. But again, following Dawn's lead, I am going to make sure that it matches together with the floral arrangement that the little girl will be holding. And I think it's just going to come together so cute. Now, because the lace was wired, it was so easy to work with, and I could position it anywhere I wanted to on the headband. It also makes it very easy to take this headband and take off the flowers and take off the wire whenever they want. Afterwards, I did cover the bottom of the headband. You won't see it here, but it is covered underneath so that the wires do not get caught in the little girl's hair. But I just think it's adorable. Even just with this little round of lace, it looks so sweet. But once you add the flowers, it really completes the full look of this fascinator. I love the sparkle of those little Austrian crystals. And later on, I do add some pearls that had a little bit of rhinestones around them. You'll see them in the final reveal. But I hope that the bride enjoys this little fascinator for her flower girl. And I hope the flower girl feels very proud to wear this. Here I am adding just some silk flower leaves just to add a little more contrast and just to add a little more nature to this beautiful floral fascinator. Now for the bridesmaids, I wanted to make sure that I created something very classic and elegant, dainty and delicate, something that makes them feel very special and will help them sparkle into the evening. Now, what I did here was using that same bracelet that fell apart and had those beautiful Austrian crystals. I decided to use that lovely lace and include one of those Austrian crystals in the middle of each little lace flower. Now, as you saw there, I'm using a little bit of E6000, a tiny little drop, just to make sure that the flower and the crystal hold together while I am placing them on this wire. I'm going to make a little bouquet of all these cute little flowers so that I can start creating the barrette, or actually it's a comb. And here's what I found at Hobby Lobby. It's his and hers, and I thought this was absolutely perfect to create a base. It has all the sparkle and twinkle, and most especially includes the color silver, which is a signature color for the bride and the bridesmaids, as well as the rest of the decor. So as you can see, this already had some wired crystals and some other wired little leaves. So the flowers are just going to add a little more of a specialized or personalized touch so that it'll match the bride's decor and the bride's selections as well. Now, if you don't find the same little comb, you can create your own. You can make this with large barrettes, or you can make it with large hairpins. You can make a lot of different hairpins with those. That was another selection that I had thought of as well, was creating tiny little hairpins that the bridesmaids can wear all over their hair. But I thought for this, I just wanted to focus and concentrate on one very nice hairpin that they could use if they put their hair to the side or they create a bun, however it is that the bride would like them to wear their hair. It's nice also if they reflect the look of the bride, because you don't want, stark differences in hairstyles. Of course, the bride is always going to stand out, but it's nice to see a little bit of harmony in hairstyles, as well as the way they dress and the accessories such as hairpins. For the second bridesmaid's headpiece, I decided to use more of this beautiful lace. Now, what I did was I used a little bit of what is called stiffy, just to make it a little easier to work with, and also so it would keep the lace from fraying. So when I cut the little flowers out and those little leaves, I like to call them leaves, I made sure that they wouldn't fray while I was working with them. As you can see, Luna is making a little bit of an appearance, joining me as I am using these little lace pieces. Now, what I did was I wired them so that they would be easier to work with, and just instead of just gluing them straight to the hair comb. And I like using these metal hair combs because, I don't know, I think they hold better and they're easier to work with because they're metal and I can just wire anything I want to it. Now, I took those little tiny flower pieces from the smaller lace, cut them apart, and as I said before, I used stiffy to make sure that they were a little stiffer and also so they wouldn't fray. And what I did was create a little flower around a rhinestone embellished pearl. I wanted to use a little bit of the pearl since it was included in the dossier, as I can say, that Dawn provided. I really hadn't used that many pearls. And I really love the pearls with the rhinestones together with this beautiful vintage looking lace. And as you can see, this lace that has these kind of leaves, I don't know, just added so much more to it. So here I'm embellishing everything and putting everything together on that wired comb. And then to make sure that none of the wires snag on the hair, I try to cover it with either, like I said before, with the Flower Girl's headpiece, either with ribbon or, as I did here, with the same lace. And there you can see the two different hair pieces. For the bride, I definitely want to use all these beautiful laces, but look at this wonderful find at Hobby Lobby. It was at a fraction of the price. I think it was only $6, and look at how beautiful. It's already ready to go, but now I need to personalize it and make sure that it has all of the items that the bride has asked for. Now, I also found at Hobby Lobby these incredibly beautiful buttons. They are so sparkly, so nice, but I wanted to make sure that it had a little bit more of the shabby chic theme. So you'll see what I do with those in just a moment. As I've mentioned before, I used a little bit of stiffy, and that helps to stiffen any kind of fabric. It also helps fabrics and other materials from fraying. So when I was using these delicate little flowers, what I did was I added some wire to them and a little rhinestone embellishment in the center of each flower. And these were little Austrian crystals that I also purchased at Hobby Lobby. But just look at how much they shimmer and shine. However, these little flowers and the addition of the laces will help to turn down a little bit of that glitz and glamour and make it more shabby chic. Now, I'm all about glitz and glamour and glitter and sparkle, but especially when it's a shabby chic themed wedding, I think the addition of laces really tones down that sparkle and makes it more vintage, more Victorian, and definitely more shabby chic. Now, I don't know exactly where the ceremony is going to take place, but if you're looking at a smaller church or even an outdoor wedding, this is a great opportunity to really personalize the headpiece that the bride is going to wear so it matches the venue where the ceremony is taking place as well as the reception. Now, you'll see that I take these beautiful rhinestone buttons and I add these tiny little leaves or flowers or petals, however you want to look at them, and I add them to the back of these beautiful, beautiful rhinestone gems or rhinestone buttons. Now, yes, I am using hot glue and I do reinforce with a little bit of E6000 once I have all the petals in place. I made sure to have no glue strings anywhere. And the way I do that is either using a heat gun or using a hairdryer. It's the best way to make sure that there are absolutely no little spider webs. And here I am trimming a little bit of the lace. Even though I had used the stiffener, it still had a little bit of fraying, so I wanted to make sure that there was no fraying in the end product. Now here I'm adding those cute little leaves. I don't know what else to call them. They look to me like leaves, so that there'll be embellishments on either side of that central beautiful rhinestone button. Now here I am wiring that rhinestone button that's already been embellished with the lace. And I love the use of these little lace flowers or blossoms, whatever you want to call them. I think it just adds so much character to this headpiece. And I just love the look of the sparkle with that vintage looking lace. I think it looks fantastic. Using wiring for any kind of headpiece adds movement and adds the ability to be able to customize the look however you want. Now, to make sure that the wires do not snag, I make sure to cover the wires with a little bit of hot glue and this beautiful lace to make sure nothing snags to the hair. Now, I'm using 2 wired combs because, again, to give it movement and mobility, I believe that it's better to use 2 combs instead of 1 large comb. It also helps you to to attach it to the hairdo much easier. The lace I added in the back also helps with the wiring so it catches well and holds fast. Now, you have to make sure while you're wiring anything that you're wiring. And I love the fact that all of these items, because I wired them in, it's easy to move them around to be able to wire in the combs. Now, maybe I should have wired the foundation first, but I think it was more important to have everything wired to the foundation first and then to the combs. It's up to you. Now I have to, and here's a quick look before our final reveal. I think it came out wonderful. Now I have to work on the veil. With the veil, I made sure not to choose a pure white color. If I had chosen a pure white color veil, it would have been a stark difference. First against the dress, second against the beautiful lace that I had used. I don't know if you can tell here, but it's almost like a pearl color. I also made sure I chose a little bit of shimmer in my veil. Now, you probably can't tell here, but probably out in the sunlight or under the evening lights, you'll see that it has a little bit of shimmer and glow, and really will make our bride glow. So all I'm doing is sewing this with a very simple stitch so that I can gather everything together. I'm using one separate comb so that when the ceremony is over, the bride can get comfortable, take off the veil. And again, this veil is going to be a blusher veil. Now, unfortunately, I also sewed on the little flowers or the little blossoms to the bottom of the veil just sporadically. And for whatever reason, I forgot to film that, but you will see that in the final reveal. I hope the bride is happy with what I created for her, because I did it with all my heart, with my blessings for a beautiful life of marriage. Thank you once again to Dawn for putting together this wonderful collaboration, and all of my friends that are here today. Monica of Up All Night DIY, Dawn of Shabby Meets Bling, Tracy of Tracy Vanover, and Jody at Southern Seasons. We all love anything that is shabby chic, and most especially preparing you for bridal season. I want to thank each and every one of you for spending some time with me today. And as I always say, stay safe, be kind. God bless each and every one of you. And remember to live the adventure and come back for more each and every week. Subscribe, like, and share. Thanks again, and see you soon.